Welcome again. I just want to shout that out again because this is sort of a big invite Sunday for us. We shouted out a lot of different ways that people could get connected over the last week, and even CJ and I revisited our history of doing videos for social media. So we're just talking about rhythms, and we're launching a brand new series today called Stay Close. And I'm not sure how many weeks this series will carry us. You'll hear from at least a couple of different people from our teaching team during the course of this series. But I think it's such a big deal as we look even at what God's been doing in our church family lately. Now, if this is your first time with us, let me just quickly bring you up to speed. We had an amazing summer with God around here. And yeah, we are pushing into some numerical growth as well, coming out of, I keep saying this and I don't know exactly how this language lands, but as we push further past COVID, which I think is just sort of a part of the way life's going to live going forward, and maybe we're just adjusting to the way we deal with it or whatever. It's not a conversation I want to have. Help us, Lord. Whatever the case, there's some normalcy certainly that's returning in the way that we're living. And over the summer, you could just see God taking us deeper. And incidentally, also, for those of you who are sitting in the house here in Wilmington, we're always looking for that next location, just so you'll know. Because we understand that the size of our building has become a bit of a limit. Come on, but we love this space. We do love this space and we love this location. But we're always looking and praying, about that. We got some room at South, everybody. We can still go to 2 services over there, but last week it was packed. It was incredible. It was packed over there last week. And we thank God for that as well. But growth isn't just something you can count or quantify. Come on. Because really the way God's been growing us is He's been taking us deeper, into deeper places. And closer. I feel like we're getting closer and closer as a community, and I hope as individuals, to Jesus. Because that's the goal. We say here at 828 Church, it's His church, not ours. Jesus is the big deal in everything we do. And this is His stage. He gets center stage and decision-making privileges in every meeting. Our goal is to be close to God. Come on, somebody, back the brother up a little bit. That's what we're going for here. That's what we're hoping for. And the purpose of this series is to point out both the invitation and the importance of being close to God. Yeah, that's right. I said it. You're invited to be close to God. Because some of our religious traditions have caused us to believe that God meant to stay at an arm's length from us. You know what I'm saying? Like He meant to stay at a distance. He's God. And that's true. He's capital G-O-D all the way. All right, the creator of everything. And yet, what He wants and what He wills, and even why we were created, is for us to be close to Him. And I don't want us to miss that memo. Listen, not just the pastor, the preacher. Listen, we're all in this together. We're all meant to have a tight and right relationship with Jesus and to come close and to learn the power of His presence and to understand the invitation to live there. That's what this series is about. It's about going into those places with God. And in Exodus 33, the Bible tells us about the fact that Moses was the original deliverer, if you will. The children of Israel were living in bondage under the heavy hand of the Pharaoh. I mistakenly said that a few weeks ago. I said Pharaoh when I don't even remember now what I was preaching about, but it wasn't Pharaoh. But this week it is. It's really Pharaoh this time. They had the people of God in bondage. And you should be with me sometimes when I go back and watch my own podcast, because I'm like, I hope nobody caught that. But under the heavy hand of the Pharaoh, and then God raised up a deliverer, right? Rescued Moses from the river, from the devastation that Pharaoh wrought on the people of God, destroying every baby 2 and under, but not the deliverer. See, even the enemy's best efforts backfire. So here comes Moses, raised in the Pharaoh's own house. It's a heck of a story. And then Moses, and by the power of God, leads the children of Israel out, and they've crossed the Red Sea, and they're in the wilderness on their way to the Promised Land. And one of the first things that God instructed Moses to do was to create a space for the people to connect with God. So they had the mobile tabernacle would eventually be a part of that, but even initially there was what was defined as the tent of meeting. set just outside the city. So anytime somebody wanted to go and make a petition, they would go to the tent of meeting. And when Moses would go, all the people would come out of their tents and stand and watch while Moses went. And Moses would go into that place and meet with God. Come on, where's your tent of meeting, church family? Where's that? Because that's meant for us too. In fact, when you look at this as an old covenant principle and understand what Jesus did when he tore the veil and made it possible for us to come even closer to God, my gracious. I mean, this looks incredible, but we have an even greater opportunity to be close to God. But then Moses, even Moses, sometimes missed a memo on how big of a deal it was that he got to be with God. Because Exodus 33 tells us in verse 12, now this is just after, I think it's verse 6, 7, somewhere in there, that the tent of meeting is mentioned. And then just after that, Moses is having a conversation with God. And here's what he said. You've been telling me, Moses speaking to the Lord, he said, take these people to the promised land. I like that, these people. You know, okay, maybe that's just me. These people to the promised land. I'm these people too, by the way. I'm the biggest mess in 828 church. Take these people to the promised land. But you haven't told me whom you will send with me. You have told me I know you by name and I look favorably on you. But if it's true that you look favorably on me, let me know your ways, so I may understand you more fully and continue to enjoy your favor. In other words, Moses was saying, you say you love me and you know me by name, but I would like to know the plan. That's what he's saying. Anybody ever feel that way? Like, I appreciate your favor, Lord, but I'd like some of the favor to be communicated in the plan. I need to know the plan. Some of you people, you just got to know the plan. You're hard to travel with. Right? You're like, hey, so, and you'll be asking 47 questions. I don't know yet. I'll let you know when we get there. And Moses was like, I'd really like, which is fair for him. He's leading millions of people. And then he said, and remember, I like this too, this nation is your very own people. In other words, he's saying, look, they're yours. They're not mine. Help us, Lord. Moses had a huge journey ahead. In fairness to Moses, he had a huge journey ahead, and he knew it. Like if you could take a straight line from Cairo to Jericho, we're talking about something like 583 miles, which they were good at walking, better than us, which would have been theoretically at least about a 3-week walk. That's about how long it would have taken to move that many people had they slept some at nighttime. But that 583 3-week walk turned out to be 5,270 miles in 40 years. That's how long it took to get from Cairo to Jericho. And Moses just didn't want to go without God's help. But here's what God said to him in verse 14 of Exodus 33. He said, the Lord replied, I will personally go with you. What? So amazing. I just love that. Who will go with us? He wants to know. Who you sending? Who you sending with me? And God said, I will personally go with you, Moses, and I will give you rest. Everything will be fine with you. You know, just like Moses, our journey can be pretty hectic too. It's a lot, everybody. It's a lot to navigate. The journey we're on with Jesus, sheesh, and we know that we are often our own most significant obstacle to getting where God wants us to be. Is us. We get that. We understand that. But the first takeaway for us is this. It points directly to the graphic. And that's just that following the guide is critical to success and safety on the expedition as well as enjoyment for the journey. That's it. That's the only, following the guide here. This is the plan. One of the things I love most about the way God relates to us is I love the Word. Like, I love the Word. I think the Word is what tethers us to the guide. In the graphic, you'll see that there's a rope as these individuals are following from the front. There's a guide. When you go on an expedition like this, there's always a guide if you got any sense about you at all. Maybe you are the guide, maybe you're the expert, but if you're not the expert, you better get an expert. Come on, somebody. Whew, help us, Lord. Even in some of the things we do on our missions and trips, you are better off, rather than getting some instruction about how to do it, you're better off following someone who already has. But we're talking about imperfection even in that regard. We're all capable of making mistakes. Come on, somebody. But I'm talking about the guide. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about the guide right now. I'm talking about God who knows his way through this world that he himself created, and it is his word that tethers us. It's important. Like following him, come on, everybody. That should be a strong commitment that we all make. Okay, I'm going to stay close to God, and I'm going to follow him. But we know, right? Do you know? I wonder if you know. I know who I am. This is me. Where did he go? Come on. You're like, how did I get here? You ever that person, like you ended up somewhere you never meant to be? Oof, that happens to me. Yeah. I mean, we need to be tethered. So then it's like, oh, right? And what does that for us? The Word. The Word. The Word. Somebody say it out loud. Say the Word. The Word helps us know right from wrong. And we don't argue with the Word, right? Oh, we don't go, hey, cut that. I don't like it. I don't like where I'm going right now. Go ahead, though. Go ahead, though. You'll be lost on the mountain. I snuck that in. By the power of the Holy Spirit, I just snuck in another push for the Word and believing the Word and not negotiating with the Word, right? The Word is a tether to the guide, but the guide is still with us too. It is. He didn't just give us the book and say, good luck following it, because it's a lot. 31,102 verses, it's a lot. I don't know it as well as I need to. But the point of the Word is to connect me. I'm preaching, and I don't know if you noticed it yet. The point of the Word is to connect us to the guide. To get us close to God. That's what it's about. And make sure that we don't I'm on my way to a horrible sentence. And to make sure we don't miss it when we have missed it. There, that worked. The Word's like, oh, you missed it. Oh, if it weren't for the Word, I wouldn't have known that I missed it. Then I would have lived lost and wondered why. And it isn't even so much it that we miss. It's him. Oof. Man, I tell a story around here from years ago when Karen and I were working with University Ministry in Louisiana, and God was calling us to Virginia and to Virginia Tech to launch same-sex student ministry at Virginia Tech and in the area of Southern Virginia and West Virginia. And so we got this call like, hey, and I tried the dude that called to recruit, we were at Louisiana Tech, and God was doing big things, but, sometimes the Lord doesn't just move you in your discontentment. Come on, somebody. So he calls you to deeper places even when you think you're already happy. And he was giving us an opportunity to go deeper and to do more with him and to know him more and to trust him more. And I'm having this conversation with him about it, and felt like the Lord even said, look, if you stay here, I'm going to bless you, but if you go there, I'm going to grow you. And so we made the decision to go, and, I was sort of proud of our being bold enough to go and scared to death about it, And I felt like in one of my quiet times, the Lord said, stay close. You've never been this way before. And so, man, I'm preaching that, Kelsey, like crazy. Like everywhere I'm just preaching it, like stay close. You've never been this way before. Come on. I'm so thankful for Sarah, who is on the worship stage at South today. I'm so proud of her, who just stepped out of her comfort zone and moved here to follow God and to be impactful in this family. I mean, that takes boldness, right? And but you following God, and the word of the Lord for me was stay close. And I preached it like it was such a profound revelation. And then years later, I was sharing that story, and I felt like the Lord said, I love how you share that story. But you do understand that's always true, right? That's always true. Every day you get up, you've never been this way before. Stay close. It's not the exception. Come on, it's the rule. God's got places he wants to take us. Staying close takes intentionality and consistency. Sorry, easy for you to say. There's a rhythm. The point in that is this. There's a rhythm to healthy relationship, and certainly to relationship with God. And the truth is, our lives can get out of sync. This morning's message is called The Rhythm of Relationship, because as we launch back into the fall, as we launch into this series, I wanted to just take a minute and talk about rhythms and how important they are. You know, often it's like we live with this effort at balance that's just not possible. Like, okay, I got my God space, and I got my life, you know, I got my job, and I got whatever, all those things that we have to manage or to, I guess, lead ourselves in. And we try to do it, and then this gets dropped for a bit, and then this gets picked up, but it's not meant to live like that. That's not how life's meant to live. It's not some teeter-totter where something's always out of balance. It's meant to be rhythms. Come on, one of my favorite things about grace is I think it just has a rhythm to it. And all of it belongs or it doesn't. It either all belongs or it doesn't. Either God's in it or he isn't. And if he is, it doesn't have to look overtly spiritual, and it will have a rhythm to it. And that's how it looks in regards to our relationship with God. But our lives can certainly get out of sync. Summers here in the States, we have some folks watching from over the ocean. Shout out to the peeps in Livingston and various other different places that watch 828 Church. But here in the States, you know, we are just coming out of our summer and we're landing in the fall. In the summer, you know, I mean, because I know some of you have kids that are in year-round school. That hurts my head to think about. Because honestly, I like the summers, but our rhythms, you know, can get pretty messed up. And if we're not careful, some of that's okay. All right, some of that's okay. There's even rest in rhythm, right? For sure, but we can get out of sync if we're honest. Maybe some of you over the summer, you feel like you've just gotten out of sync. Or maybe something else has sort of thrown you off a little bit. And the term rhythm is simply defined as a strong, regular, repeated pattern of movement or sound. Rhythm. Strong, regular, repeated pattern of movement and sound. And we need rhythms. We need things in our lives that we do consistently, faithfully, if you will. And I would say even intentionally. Most of you, in regards to rhythm, as far as sound, you can hear it. Most of you. Most of you. Please don't be offended. Some of you don't know there's an on-beat and an off-beat, and that we clap different depending on the music or where we coming from traditionally. You don't even know. But you're pretty good at hitting that offbeat, I'll give you that. But I said to myself, I didn't listen. I'm sorry. Tether, get back to that. And then some of you can even move to the rhythm, you know? Some of you, some of us, I don't know if I can or not, and that's the thing, right? I'm up here before church every Sunday. And I've never officially danced one day in my life except maybe with a basketball. I'm not, you know. Let me ask you this. This will be fun. So how many of you know you can't dance? Help us, Lord. How many of you know you can? Half of you are wrong. Just give you a little heads up. There's about half of the ones who think they can that can. Right? Rhythm. It's a thing. And have you ever heard of this? Like, I heard a guy talking about this week. I was studying this concept, and he was talking about a silent disco. Have I heard about that? Yeah. So this dude is a pastor, and he was talking about how he was on a cruise ship raising money for mission, and they had a silent disco. So basically, they had 4 different songs playing, and you put headphones on. And people like me, and definitely my wife, we would, you know, we know we cannot risk this. So we're going to sit there and watch everybody else. But you can't hear the music. Only they can hear the music. And there's 4 different songs going. So it looks ridiculous because people are not dancing. And every once in a while, you know, you see somebody dancing to the same song as you, and you're like, hey, you know, they're on your song, you know, but they're listening to oldies, and they got some country going, and they got some, you know, headbanging, rock and roll. I mean, it's silent disco. I tell you this though, we don't dance well together if we're not listening to the same song. I'm not even trying to preach that today, but I think it's an interesting thought for us here in the States. As I said a second ago, we're coming back into some of those regular rhythms as we get into the fall. with school. So back in school, even if that's homeschooling or whatever that looks like for you, kudos to you. And if you have kids, or in some cases that might be college, and even if you don't, you recognize that our world just sort of returns to some regular rhythms. Well, hey, we can go to the beach again pretty soon, everybody. Yeah. That'll be cool, because those folks that came, they got to go back to work and school. And you get some of those regular rhythms are coming. They're coming back. For me, it's like bedtimes again for our 7-year-old that lives with us, and you just, so that kind of changes even the way that my bedtime works, right? And some of the rhythms, though, it's interesting to me, because the other time I think on the calendar that sort of works like that for us is the first of the year. But this is the time when we also start thinking about fitness, like, what can I do? Holy cow, what did I eat this summer? A lot, apparently. And we're maybe thinking about that a little bit. I don't know. Like, one of the rhythms that I lost a little bit this summer, I'm the guy that makes the bed. There's 2 reasons that Karen doesn't make the bed. Number 1, because I do. And number 2, she gets up earlier than me. I don't want her making the bed when I'm in it. Hey, I'm here. I'm still in here. What you doing? You tucking me in. I appreciate it. It's nice. Right? But it's interesting. Like, this fall, I'm getting back into that. I don't know where you're at, I'm not here to teach about making the bed, but it's good. For us, getting back to a date day, kind of lost that over the summer, maybe before that, but there's rhythms. I'm just giving you some thoughts here. Pick some. Rhythms are important. We lost that. I mean, I'm a little embarrassed to say so, but it's been a minute. We keep both saying to each other, we really need a date. We really do. It's an important rhythm for us in our relationship. And, and I think COVID wrecked a lot of rhythms as well. I mean, folk that were in the house of the Lord before COVID and are not now. I know some of you watching online. I appreciate you being there. I love you. Sure do miss you. Wish you'd add this in-house back to your rhythm if you could, if you can, because I think it's healthy. It's good to see people. I know it's hard. I get it. I ain't trying to judge you. I just think it's a healthy rhythm. Let me ask this question. Is it possible that our God rhythms have taken the hardest hit? Because I think maybe. And even if they haven't, I mean, they're the most important rhythms. So it's the most important thing, I think, to get a handle on. In some cases, the truth is we've stopped playing any song of substance at all with our lives. Like, that happens. Isn't that crazy? You're like, what am I doing? My rhythms are so off that there's no song that my life is playing or singing that it has any substance. It just doesn't matter. Now, it's not true for all of you. There are some of you, man, you are killing it, and praise God for that. But there are times when I wake up. I'm a pastor. I preach on Sundays, and sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? We need God to help us. Here's another takeaway for us. There's a graced rhythm to relationship with God. To stay close to Him is to learn that rhythm. And that's really the point of this morning's message again as we launch into the Stay Close series, that there is a rhythm to relationship with God. And this is a good start, by the way. I'm going to give you some props right now. Give you a little credit. This is a good start. Being in the house of the Lord. Again, I ain't trying to hate it. Watch online. I love you. Trying to chase anybody off right now. I do appreciate you. I mean that sincerely. But kudos for being online or in-house, however that's working for you, for making some space for God in this moment. It was David who said, I was glad when they said to me, let us go to the house of the Lord. That's a big deal. This isn't meant to be a dirge or a duty. And if it is, you're probably out of rhythm. That's probably what's happening. You're still making it happen. You're still making it happen. Or maybe you got some rhythm, but you've forgotten the song. You've forgotten why you even play. We're here for a reason, and it's to meet with God. We're not here just to check church off the list. If that's what you're doing, I don't even know what to say. Being a part of a life-giving church family is a very important rhythm, and we're constantly inviting people into that space because we believe in it. If it's not going to be this church family, there are lots of other amazing ones in this area, certainly in Southern Brunswick. You can find a church home, but find a church home. It's a big deal. Acts 2:42 tells us that from the beginning, that's how the church was formed.
All the believers devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and to sharing meals, including the Lord's Supper and to prayer. And that passage, actually, it was a lot. And I didn't feel like I had time to cover it all. But if you go to the beginning of or as it were, the birth of the New Testament church, you will see rhythms right from the beginning. You'll see rhythms. A lot of what happened there was they were generous to one another and they took care of one another. Those were rhythms. Verses 43, 44, 45. They had rhythms that were community-driven and intended, made, or purposed for them to be close to each other and to God. And personal God time is huge as well. What an important rhythm. I probably don't teach about it enough, honestly. And it doesn't have, and in fact shouldn't look the same for everyone. You know, we're all different in how our lives are meant to play. But we are playing the same song. Right? I'll come to that in the end, and I think it'll make sense for us. But the truth is, personal God time is huge. It's a huge rhythm. So one of my favorite questions to ask around here, Alex, is, how are you in Jesus? How you doing? How are you in Jesus? Because that's, I can say, how are you doing? But really, the more important question is, how are you in Jesus? That rhythm. Come on, somebody. It's a big deal. And what does that look like, for you? So the things we shout out around here, we have had coffee cups. We have coffee cups presently. I don't think we have any for giveaway. That literally the coffee cup itself says coffee with Jesus. Because the running joke around here is that I love to have, one of mine is coffee with Jesus. Presently, the way our town home is set up, I can't wait for it to cool off because I want to sit in the backyard, at the picnic table and have coffee with Jesus and just get my journal out. And it's not going to be fancy pants Devo time. It's just chilling and chatting. I'm not great early, to be honest with you. I don't think my best thoughts first thing in the morning. If you do, wow, I'm impressed. But I still need God, whatever that looks like, right? I mean, sometimes, here's what coffee with Jesus looks like. I'm just trying to be vulnerable and real with you. It looks like hitting an espresso machine, and I put too much creamer in there, and it splashes out, and then I'm trying to clean it up before Karen sees it, and I put it in. I really need a better mobile cup if anybody wants to love me like that. We're fresh out. And then I jump in the car because I'm supposed to be somewhere already, and invariably I spill it on myself. It ain't always, I don't post those pictures on Instagram. Coffee with Jesus all over my leg. Most of the time, if it goes the way I want it to, I got 2 cups. One for me and one for him, because he never drinks his and I get to have 2. I got a journal and a pencil and my Bible and maybe some worship music playing on my phone, but it don't always work that way, but we still do it. It's a rhythm. Are y'all hearing me right now? It ain't always pretty. I'm like, well, Lord, you just spilt your coffee all over me. Lord, that's your coffee. You didn't even make me a cup today. I was in a hurry. You never drink it. Y'all are worried about me right now. I can feel it. This guy, I'm worried about him. Hey, the rhythm of relationship with God is real. It's real. He wants time with me. And I want time with him. It's with Tex, it's a bike ride at Wrightsville Beach. Y'all think he just always got his Bible open with a highlighter? He probably does that. I know he does that too. But this man rides his bike. Do you not know that those are incredible times for him with God? Riding his bike or a walk. For me, I don't ride no bike, but I love a walkabout. I love thinking. Not just thinking about God, but thinking with God. It's a rhythm. When I'm not thinking with God, I'm not thinking very good. I'm pretty sure that was, again, terrible grammar. I like thinking not just about him, but thinking with him. Okay, God, let's think about it. And reading, I love reading. I'm not a great reader. I'm not a fast reader. Karen can read 3 books. Well, I've made it halfway through 1. But I read. And I'll reread and read and reread. And learning, I love learning. Podcasts, we live in such a blessed moment in history. So many good ways to have a rhythm. I love looking at the world. I think about Romans 1:20 that says, ever since the world was created, people have seen the earth and sky Through everything God made, they can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature. So they have no excuse for not knowing God. I love, my favorite thing, when the tourists are gone, I love the tourists. We need them. I ain't hating on that, but I'm just saying I usually go to the beach when it's cooler. And I love to sit and watch the waves. I'm so impressed with the just rhythmic beat of the waves along the shore. And I was and just sit there and I think about, God, you did all this. To look up into the night sky, the moon's going to be amazing tonight. Is that God time? Absolutely. It can be. I guess it depends on how you approach it. But for me, it's God time. You did good. Surely you're big enough for what's going on with me. And it's a rhythm. That rhythm of making sure that I have time and God has space in my life, it's a rhythm. And it doesn't hit the same place every day. It doesn't. For some of you, it probably should, but for me, it doesn't always. But it is a consistent rhythm. Like it's a part of, it hits in the chorus, it hits in the bridge, you know what I'm saying? And it helps set the tone for every verse in my life. Is my time with God. It's priceless to me, and it impacts all the other rhythms and relationships I have with God. One of my favorite ways to approach my God time, I guess, is jamming with Jesus. Man, when I said that, yesterday when I was prepping, it sounded so cool. Jamming with Jesus. It still sounds pretty good to me. Yeah. Matt had to mix a little hot in the house today. I thought, ooh, that's loud. Somebody probably ain't liking that, but I liked it. Dude, his mix is great, by the way. That was great. But y'all got a pastor that's listened to his music loud for a long time. Sorry about that. We have earplugs back there if you need them. But I just love to those songs that just speak life. And I get in my car and I just play them loud. Jody, come on. I know Tyler's always Tyler killing it in worship itself. But that guy, his music is a big deal to him. What do you listen to? Because it feeds you. Whew, you can listen to lots of stuff. God wrote lots of cool songs that are not specifically about him. But make sure you put that in there. Like that should be the primary thing. And for me, prayer is a big deal. Thank God for First Saturday prayer we had last week, and it's coming up every month. Every month, First Saturday prayer here at 828 Church is an opportunity for all of us. It's designed for all of us, and at South. And I pray that God grows that. We had a great first Saturday prayer, but I'm asking you, the first Saturday of every month from 9 to 10 to come into this house and let's pray together. Prayer is such an incredible and important place for us to connect with God. And worship, y'all don't even have to wonder how much I love worship. And yeah, sure, that's jamming with Jesus, but sometimes the worship space is a bit deeper. Like the praise space, but then there's the worship space where I go a bit deeper with God. And I mentioned already, man, that book, I love studying the word. And another regular rhythm is fasting. And maybe some of you have never fasted. Don't sweat it. You're okay. You're okay. But now we live in a world where even from a health perspective, intermittent fasting is becoming a thing that people do. But even just fasting one meal is such a big deal. I tell you why fasting is so important. It's because sometimes, even in the most minor way, our rhythms get off a little bit. Our tempo isn't quite right? And we know it. I don't know. And fasting lets us reset. It's like, okay, let me stop for just a second. Let me fast, really focus. Okay, I got it. I'm good. Because fasting isn't so much about what you give up, but what you add in. You know what I'm saying? Like extra dependence on God, extra clarity for seeing Him. Another couple of rhythms that I think are critically important as I hustle toward a landing here is gratitude and generosity. Gratitude. Whew. So the kids ministry recently sent home jars. The Kennedys are famous, Lisa and Bob and Carly, for having a gratitude jar, and they put stuff in there, and they sent a jar home from schoolers, which was awesome. And McKinley, man, she's like, hey, we didn't do the gratitude jar yet. It's just so
Gratitude is such a powerful thing. And generosity, don't miss it. Corinthians 9:7, you must each decide in your heart how to give, and don't give reluctantly or in response to pressure, for God loves a person who gives cheerfully. There's the thankfulness coming back in on that. And God will generously provide all you need. Then you will always have everything you need and plenty left over to share with others. Generosity is a rhythm that's meant to exist in our lives. It doesn't always have to be about money. Give what you got. But when did that become like a rhythm that didn't matter in the family of faith? That's a big deal. And that's a rhythm. And it's not just writing a check, everybody, or whatever that looks like. It's something that comes from our hearts. And then the last rhythm I wanted to mention is the rhythm of right thinking. I know you didn't see that one coming. It's the discipline in the way that we think, because that's where I think we often get off. Like we get off badly because our thinking gets off. And Paul said in Philippians 4:8, fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think on these things. They are excellent and worthy of praise. Come on, somebody. Maybe you've just sort of really lost any sort of a healthy way of thinking. I think that's one of the hardest things in the world we live in right now. We have access to so much broken thinking. Ready access to broken thinking. But if we step back into all these other rhythms, our thinking's going to change and be transformed by the renewing of your what? You can nail the rhythm and still miss the meaning of the song, though. CJ's going to join me on the stage, but the reality is you can. I mean, you can get the rhythms, you can do all the things I just mentioned and more. But if you forget the meaning of the song, you'll just become religious and proud. That's what happens. Because the rhythms, don't forget what the rhythms are about. The reason, another takeaway for us is this. The reason for the rhythm is to be close and stay close to the leader of the band. That's the purpose of the rhythm. That's why they're there. I like that. Keeping the rhythm without remembering the meaning or the reason for the song. That reminds me of the religious leaders of Jesus' day. Because they just kept adding new things to check off that list. But they were they were singing a song, they didn't even know what it meant anymore. In fact, they added verses that didn't matter. They forgot who the song was about. He came and they didn't even notice or recognize him. Jesus lived an inside-out rhythm of life. It started with a real life of devotion. When you look at the life of Jesus, he shared his heart with his Father. He prayed and meditated on Scripture. He listened and submitted to the leadership of the Father. He obeyed. He withdrew on retreat, but was patient with people who interrupted him. That's a healthy rhythm, right? You can do both. It's a rhythm. It's not one or the other. He fasted and fed the hungry. What? Both. He did both. Because he had healthy rhythms. He rested in quiet and ministered to noisy and pushy crowds. He did both. Because he had that Jesus, man. He could dance. Rhythm. It's a part of life. I love the movie August Rush. It was 2007. I'm going to rewatch it. If you haven't seen it, don't worry about it. But it's about a little boy that's a bit of a savant. And music, he hears it everywhere. He's in an orphanage and he hears music everywhere. And it's an incredible story of restoration. But at one point he says, the music is all around us. You just have to listen. I'm praying the Lord's bringing some joy back into the song for you today. Enjoy singing again. Your life song. Help us, Lord. Incidentally, I love the orchestra. I do. I love the orchestra. I'm so fascinated. I can't play anything. But I love the orchestra. And it's fascinating when they first start playing and they're tuning and they're all doing their own thing. It sounds awful if you ever get there early. And I don't know what it is about my look. I would like to think that this has changed a little bit, but years ago, Karen and I went to a piano concerto that was backed up by the Roanoke Symphony in Roanoke, Virginia. I mean, it was incredible. And I don't know if this ever happened to you before, but I'm walking in, and the guy at the door is like, oh, wait. And he grabs a bunch of cough drops. You're going to need these. I ain't cough once in front of you. And this is one of those guys that's going to get impatient, and he don't belong here. I did enjoy the cough drops, though. Lo and behold, I got an itch. I was like, good call, dude. I believe our lives are meant to play like an orchestra. Your part matters, your part matters. They are all part of the same song. And when we stop playing, or we lose rhythm, or get off tempo, or try to go solo, everybody suffers. Each part matters, as does the rhythm of the player and the players. But here's the good news. I wish I had a pencil. Jesus is the maestro. When he taps on the music stand, I hope we all do this. Come on, that's Jesus right there, everybody. He's the conductor. Last takeaway. If your rhythms are off, the song of your life will feel forced and frustrating rather than graced and glad. Hence the reason Paul said in Hebrews 12:2, let us run with endurance the race set before us. And I'm going to stretch that a bit and say, let's play our song. We do this. How do we do this? By keeping our eyes on the maestro, on the conductor, on Jesus, the champion who invites and perfects our faith. So I want to share a poem with you, and then I'm going to be done. Like the words in a poem, a verse and chorus in a song, with perfect tempo and time, the lyric lands where it belongs. Or the rhythm of the rain beating down from cloudy skies, the simple tap, tap of the drops, enough to rest those sleepless eyes. I love the rhythm of the waves faithfully dancing on the shore, first loud, then soft, then loud again, always coming back for more. Rhythms are all around, for sure, by God's design. A musician, I think for certain, his plan to make our hearts align together in a song his creation's meant to sing. When the maestro taps the stand, it's a beautiful, harmonious thing. But the rhythm of the soul will sometimes lose the beat. And a song without graced rhythm will leave you empty and incomplete. But there's help, so don't despair. Jesus, like a metronome, resets the rhythms of your life with perfect tempo, time, and tone. Somebody give it up for Jesus. Somebody give it up for Jesus. Somebody give it up for Jesus, who didn't say, get off my stage. Put your instrument. You can't dance. It's not what he said. He said, come. Let me reset your rhythms. You've got a song. You've got a song. Your life is meant to sing.